Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to show you how to make the necklace tree that I showed you in my last video. I'm going to make a smaller one because I'm just going to make this one, this is for video and for instructional purposes. And when I'm done with it, I'll just give it to my daughter and it'll be hers. So anyway, I went with relatively cheap materials. I mean, you can get as fancy with this as you want, definitely. I'm going to go over what you need, and I'm also going to explain the process. So, but, okay, first, for your necklace tree, you want to have some kind of glass vessel. It can be a little vase like this, it can be an old jar, it can be a bottle, but you really, preferably you want something that has like a top opening at the top that's wide enough to where you can stick your hand down inside if you need to, because you will need to be able to do that in order to adjust your tree branches, so to speak. And let's see, you're going to need probably at least a couple, a pound, 2 pounds, I mean, depends on how big your vase is, really, of these little glass pebbles. You can get them at craft stores, flower shops have them sometimes. Pardon me. You're going to need wire, obviously. I mean, this is 14 gauge. I actually recommend 12 or heavier, just because it's not as flimsy. This is a little thinner than I really would like for it to be. You can get that at craft stores also, or you can go to a hardware store, actually, and get electrician's wire in bulk. It's really cheap too. It comes with a plastic, like a rubber coating on it, and it's like less than $1, I think, per yard. I mean, once you do the math, and you can get several feet of it, and it's just as strong. So it's a lot cheaper though. So in fact, actually, here is the exact wire that I got. So, in case you're wondering. You're going to need wire cutters. These are just like kind of small, cheap, flimsy ones, but they do the trick just fine. If you do not already have a pair of wire cutters, do go pick out the kind that has some kind of coating or comfort grip on the handles, because it'll really keep your hands from being very sore afterwards. And you're also going to need a pair of needle nose pliers, as seen here. And once again, I definitely recommend the kind that has the coating on the handles. So just a few of the tools I have. Okay. When you get your wire, it's going to come in rolls. You want to unroll it slowly, okay, and get it into like long pieces. The way I did this was I took like each of the long pieces, and they were like each 3 yards long, each piece, and cut it in half, then cut it in half again. So I ended up with 4 pieces. But then the other 2 rolls, I changed it up a little bit. Some pieces you want to be a little longer, and some pieces you want to be a little shorter. See, like, here's a shorter piece, but here's a longer piece. Okay, that one's stuck. Here's another one. Because at the top of your flower tree, your necklace tree, you're going to want some longer and some shorter so that they're not all like bunched together and overcrowded. You want to then each have, there needs to be plenty of room around each wire for necklaces to hang. So, so after you've cut your wire, you want to smooth it out as best you can. I really didn't do a very good job on this, mainly because of the fact that, like, if you try and smooth it out, like you try and get rid of all the little dents and kinks, you know, you move your hand and you see that all you've really done is just create a new dent or a new kink where there wasn't one before. And also, like, the fact that this is such shiny wire, like, the light catches, like, every little imperfection in the wire. So, anyway, but I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, no one's really going to notice, like, little dents and kinks, really. They're just going to walk into your room and go, oh my gosh, that's such a cool thing you have there for your necklaces, and you know, did you make that? You know, they're not going to really care that it's not perfect or whatever. So anyway, after you've cut your wire, you want to smooth it. And then what you want to do is you want to put a bend, like you just want to bend down a small part of one end of each of the wires, okay, just one end, and it can be like just a few inches. And the reason you want to do this is because when you take your wire and you put it into your vase, if it's straight, if you don't have something here, it's just going to like twist itself around and flop wherever it wants, and it's not going to stay where you put it. This will really help when it comes time to position your branches in your necklace tree. It'll keep them from flopping around. It'll keep you from getting very frustrated. And so, it's important. And you can just do it with your fingers. You don't have to use a tool unless you've got some kind of like really heavy gauge wire. So, then after that, you want to make these little curly cues at the end. I've already done all of these, but I did save one so I can show you, because there is a bit of technique to this. I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second. Okay, you take your needle nose pliers, and I hope you can see this well enough. Let me get the light over here a little better. There we go. Okay. You just want to get like the very tip, okay, and just curl it under and try to keep it as close and tight as possible. And the reason you want to do this, the reason you want to blunt the tip is so that your necklaces don't get caught on this rough cut edge, and also so that you don't poke your hand on it when you try to get necklaces off of your necklace tree. Okay, so blunting the tip is, you know, just a bit of a safety precaution. So for you and for your necklaces, obviously. Okay, then next, to finish the curly cue, you want to pinch the wire with the tool directly up against where you just made your little blunt curly cue, and then you just sort of curl it around a little bit at a time, like curl some and then move the tool, curl some then move the tool. You just want to keep doing that, and you're gonna have to hold it kind of tight with your fingers, otherwise it'll just do like this, and it'll get very frustrating. So just keep doing that, and then stop when it looks about like this. I don't know if you can see that anymore. Like that. So, okay, now we're ready for the next step. Okay, so you take your glass vessel, and you don't want to put all of your little glass pebbles in there just yet. You want to put some in the bottom. And the bag that I bought, I mean, they come in these mesh bags like this. The bag that I bought had all of these colors in it. I mean, it had the yellow and the 2 different shades of blue and the orange and the pink. So I separated them all out, and I decided I'm just going to do stripes. So, but you can mix the colors and dump them all in if you want, or you can just do one solid color. So I dumped in the pink. I think I'm also going to go ahead and dump in, let's do the blue, the light blue. And you don't want to just go and like just dump them in there, because these things actually are heavy enough to crack the glass. And I don't want to have to clean up broken glass, so I'm just going to kind of do a little bit at a time. Whoops. Okay. And to get it to kind of settle and smooth out, you can just shake. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more in. Okay, when it's about half full, you want to take like the longer pieces and start sticking them in. And you want to stick them in closer to like the middle, because if you think about it, your shorter pieces need to be around the outside and your longer pieces need to be in the middle. Once again, you do this so that when you go to hang up a necklace, you have plenty of room so that they're not squished all together. There's plenty of space around them, so that also it adds to the aesthetics of what you're making, but also it's practical. So I'm going to continue. And you want to like turn them so that the curly cues aren't all facing the same way. Like you kind of take your long ones and just kind of go in a circle and adjust them so that the curly cues, like one's facing that way, one's facing that way, and so on and so forth. And of course there's also the option of doing the curly cues after you've placed all of the pebbles into your vessel. That's also a possibility. So that way you don't have to like reposition them a bunch of times if you don't want to, but I did the curly cues ahead of time just to save time for the video. So alright, that's most of the long ones. Let's do yellow. You want to hold these in place while you do this. And you want to make sure that they're spread evenly around. And see, now you can let go. So you've got enough in there to hold them up straight. And you're going to have to wiggle them around just a little bit. So yeah, at this point you can probably just dump them in. They don't have as far to travel to the bottom. They're less likely to smack against the edges and crack your glass. Okay, got the tall ones. And now let's put in some of the small ones. And the smaller ones, you don't have to be quite so careful. You can just kind of stick them in there. But you do want to make sure your curly cues are facing out. And if you can't get one to position correctly, you can always take it and just turn it. And like turn the wire and bend the wire, and you'll get it. It's not that hard. And once again, you want to spread them out well. So, I mean, you don't want like all of your branches all on one side. I mean, unless you really want, that's what you want, then go for it, but and sometimes these little pebbles will resist you. Like you'll be trying to put a wire in, and it just won't let you, and you'll find yourself mashing and mashing and mashing on the wire. And what'll happen is if you just keep fighting with it like that, it'll bend your wire, and you have to take it out, and you have to unbend it and fix it. So just be kind of ginger with it, and that's why you don't want to fill it all the way up to the top before you put in your wires, because you'll end up with stuck wires that get jammed, and you'll end up frustrated, and the project will not be nearly as enjoyable. So, all right. There we go. That one did not want to go. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm going to stick this one right here. Okay. Let's put this back. And move this back to the center. Okay. And now we're going to add the rest of our pebbles. And just dump them, I guess. Okay. The reason I shake it like that is to get them to settle. So, okay. Yep. Now you be careful while you're doing this, because look, like what I just did was one of my curly cues just got caught on my bracelets. So actually I'm going to take those off. Which I should have done probably before I got started. Okay, now that the bracelets are out of the way, we can continue. Okay, now if you think you've got all of your branches where you want them, then what you can do, excuse me, let me adjust the camera so you can see. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, you start taking your branches, and you, for the most part, you kind of want them to be straight up and down until you get about like half the way up the wire. Then you kind of just really gently and very subtly make a curl, like so. If you can see that or not, but there it is. So, you can just start making your curls. If you're finding that some of them are kind of going a little limp down at the base, what you can do, since it is wire, I mean you can bend it, is just make a kink down in the pebbles. Like kink it so that the pointy part of the kink is actually facing towards, like going pointed towards the glass. And so, here we go again. I'm just going to bend this. And it got twisted around somehow. Oh, I think I did that a little too soon. Hang on. Ah, here we go. That's high enough. That'll work. And if you find that a branch is too long, you can just curl up or curly cue even more. So. This is relatively easy to bend. That's kind of why I wanted the heavier gauge wire. Let's see. That's not too bad, as long as it's not a heavy necklace. That's why I'm going to give this to my daughter, because she's only 11 years old. She doesn't wear anything like really gaudy or with a bunch of heavy pendants or anything on it, and so she can actually display her necklaces, and they won't be like dragging on the table. And now these things do take up quite a bit of space. For some people that's a good thing. The reason I like it is because I like decorations and items that will actually like take up some vertical space and fill a space really well. But yeah, you just continue making your curls. I'm going to work a little bit more quickly because I don't want this to get too long. So. of course, I think if you need to use a tool while you're doing this, you definitely can. If you find that your curly cues are kind of pointed going the wrong way, just play around with the wire until you get it how you want it. Oh, almost done. You're getting there. Okay, this one is kind of wild. I'm actually going to make it trade places with this one. I think I'll have an easier time with it if I do. And I'm going to have to bend it back. Excuse me. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make them trade places again. And there we go. So, I mean, obviously for your longer pieces, you want like a much wider curl. It's just, the aesthetics are a little better. And that is still, oh, no, I guess it's fine. No, it's going to bend over way too far when she hangs something on it. So, to bend it some more. There we go. I think that's got it. These can be kind of a pain in the butt. See, now I've got a problem where I've got several that are going to be touching each other, and I don't want that. So, I think what I'm going to do is try to turn this one this way. And here we are trading places again. That is much better. Okay, now I can bend this one back. And when you do this bend, like I said, you want the point to be pointing towards the glass. Just stick your finger in. Stick your finger in against, like hold the wire, and put your finger against the wire and put your thumb on the opposite side. And you can rest your thumb on the rim of the glass, and then just get a good grip on it, and then use your other hand to bend the wire back. And when you feel like it's bent far enough to where it's not gonna just, you know, flop over anymore, then stop. Pardon me. And we're almost done. Just one more. And that's it. I mean, it's not quite as, you know, symmetrical as I normally would like it to be. But, I mean, for educational purposes, I think this did the trick. So, but I'm going to take the camera now off of its little mount, and I'm going to give you a better look at it. Sorry about that, I keep doing that. Anyway, there it is. There's little curly cues. And get you a nice closer look at what the base looks like. You see how they're like all kind of spread out. They're not just squished all together. So when you first put the tall ones in, though, they're going to have to be squished together just a little bit, because they will spread naturally on their own. I mean, like you saw, once you start putting in the pebbles, they'll spread naturally on their own. So, there's a closer look at one of the curly cues. So, and also a closer look at the tools. I had several laying here, but I showed you the ones that were like the most essential. So, oh, and also here is the receipt for when I bought these materials earlier today. Now, if you go to a department store or someplace like that, and you want to purchase a jewelry box or some kind of jewelry storage item, those things are not cheap. They're usually not made in the USA. They're kind of clunky. I just see it as being kind of ridiculous because, I mean, like the cheapest jewelry box I've ever seen brand new was almost $100. I'm like, that is ridiculous. And so, but this is how much everything costs today. That's the price of the materials that I just used to make this necklace tree. The actual total is a little bit more because I bought some other things too, but I just isolated these particular items. So about not even $20. You can do this for not even $20. So here we go. And again, here's the other one that I made for myself. It's a lot nicer. I mean, obviously I got nicer wire. There's a whole lot more wire in it. And I've got several jewelry items that have like really heavy pendants on them, and like really heavy beads, and or like here's one that's a chain. So I mean, I had to use heavier wire, but this is a much better finished product, I must say. So, and that's it for now. So yeah, enjoy making your jewelry tree. And I'll see you next time.